The warning lights painted Tae-young's face red as his cargo ship shook violently. Metal groaned and screamed around them. His 8-year-old daughter Da-eun gripped her seat with white knuckles, her eyes wide but trusting. She always trusted her father, even now as the ship fell from the sky. Hold on tight. Tae-young shouted over the roaring engines. His hands moved fast across the controls, trying everything he knew. Nothing worked. The engines were dead. They were going down. The small cargo vessel hit the ice planet hard. The impact threw them forward against their safety straps. Metal crunched and tore. Glass shattered. Then everything went silent except for the howling wind outside. Tae-young's head throbbed. Blood dripped from a cut above his eye. "Da-eun, are you okay?" "I'm okay, Dad." Her voice shook, but she was unhurt. Her safety strap had held perfectly. He unbuckled himself and checked her over anyway. No broken bones. No serious injuries. They were lucky. Very lucky. The ship groaned around them. Cold air rushed through cracks in the hull. Tae-young looked at the damage display. His heart sank. The life support system was damaged. The communication array was completely destroyed. The engines would never fly again without major repairs. "Where are we?" Da-eun asked. "Hyun 7, an ice planet. Away station world." Tae-young pulled out emergency thermal suits from the storage locker. "We need to put these on. It's very cold outside." They dressed quickly in the thick suits. The temperature inside the ship was already dropping fast. Tae-young could see his breath forming white clouds in the air. He gathered supplies while Da-eun watched. Emergency rations, water purifiers, medical kit, repair tools, everything they might need to survive until rescue came. If rescue came, "Dad, will someone find us?" Da-eun asked. Tae-young wanted to lie. He wanted to tell her yes, of course, help was on the way. But he had always been honest with his daughter. "I don't know. The communication system is broken. No one knows we crashed." She thought about this for a moment. "Then we fix it." He smiled despite everything. His daughter was brave. She got that from her mother. He tried not to think about his wife now. 3 years gone to a sickness the doctors couldn't cure. Da-eun was all he had left. "Yes," he said. "We fix it. But first we need to secure the ship. Make sure we can survive the cold." They worked together. Tae-young sealed the worst hull breaches with emergency foam. Da-eun helped him move supplies to the warmest section of the ship. The backup heater was running, but it wouldn't last forever. The fuel cells were damaged too. After an hour of work, Tae-young decided to go outside. He needed to see what else they could salvage. The external sensors were dead, so he had to check by hand. "Stay inside," he told Da-eun. "Keep warm. I want to come with you. It's too dangerous. You said we work together." She crossed her arms. That stubborn look on her face reminded him so much of her mother. He sighed. "Okay, but you stay close to me." Very close, they stepped out into the ice planet. The wind hit them like a wall. Even through the thermal suits, the cold pressed against their skin. Snow whipped around them in white sheets. Visibility was terrible. Their ship had carved a long trench in the ice. Debris scattered everywhere. The main engine had torn completely off. There was no hope of flying this ship again without major repairs. Repairs that would take weeks or months with a full crew and proper equipment. Tae-young felt despair creeping in. They were stranded. No one knew where they were. The cold would kill them before rescue came. Then Da-eun grabbed his arm. "Dad, look!" She pointed into the swirling snow. At first, Tae-young saw nothing. Then he saw it too. A shape in the distance. Another ship. They ran toward it, fighting against the wind. As they got closer, the ship became clearer. It was smaller than theirs. A different design. Strange angles and crystalline surfaces. Not human-made, the hull was cracked open. Ice had formed inside the breach. Tae-young approached carefully. "Hello, anyone alive?" A sound came from inside, a strange clicking and humming noise. Tae-young pulled out his flashlight and climbed through the broken hull. Da-eun followed close behind. The inside of the ship was freezing, colder than outside somehow. Frost covered every surface in thick layers. They found them in what looked like a passenger section. 2 figures, one large, one small. They were like nothing Tae-young had ever seen. Their bodies were made of what looked like crystal or glass. Light seemed to move inside them in slow waves. The larger one was cracked in several places. The smaller one shivered despite the extreme cold. "Are they alive?" Da-eun whispered. The larger one's eyes opened. They glowed with a soft blue light. A device around her neck began to speak in human language. The translation was rough but understandable. Help, please help. My child is dying. Tae-young moved closer. We want to help. What do you need? Cold, need more cold. Child is in molt phase. Need extreme cold to survive. Temperature here not enough, that made no sense. This planet was already one of the coldest Tae-young had ever visited. How cold do you need? The translator clicked and hummed. -200 degrees. Your temperature scale. Child will die without proper cold. Tae-young's mind raced. That was far beyond anything their equipment could handle. Their thermal suits would fail in minutes at that temperature. Even the ice planet itself wasn't that cold naturally. Dad? Daeun looked up at him. We have to help them. I don't know if we can, honey. We have to try. The alien mother reached out with a crystalline hand. She moved slowly, obviously injured. Please. I am Hana. This is Kale. We are Velreen. We crashed 3 days ago, running from persecution. Please, if you cannot help, at least stay with us. Do not let my child die alone. Something broke inside Tae-young's chest. He understood that pain. The fear of losing a child. He looked at Daeun, then at the small Velreen child shivering on the frozen floor. We'll help, he said. I don't know how yet, but we'll find a way. Hana's glow brightened slightly. Why, we are strangers. Different species. Helping us may cost your lives. Tae-young looked at his daughter. She was already kneeling next to the Velreen child, her small hand reaching out but not quite touching the crystalline form. Because that's what we do, he said simply. We help people who need help. The wind howled outside both crashed ships. The temperature continued to drop. Tae-young had no idea how they would survive this. But he knew one thing with certainty. They would try. They would try because that was what humans did. They didn't leave people behind. Tae-young helped Hana move back to their ship. It took a long time. The Velreen mother was heavy and moved slowly. Her crystalline body made strange sounds as she walked, like glass chimes in the wind. Kale could barely move at all. Daeun stayed close to the small Velreen, talking softly even though the child probably couldn't understand. Once inside the human ship, Tae-young saw the problem immediately. Their backup heater was working. It kept their section of the ship warm enough for humans to survive. But that warmth was deadly to the Velreen. We need to turn off the heater, Hana said through her translator. For Kale. If we do that, we'll freeze, Tae-young explained. Then we die anyway. All of us. Hana's glow dimmed with sadness. This is impossible situation. Daeun sat on the floor next to Kale. She pulled off her glove and held her hand near the Velreen child. Dad, her child is freezing, even here where it's warm for us. Tae-young watched his daughter. She was right. Kale was shaking badly. The child's crystalline form looked dull, like frost-covered glass. Even in this freezing ship, it wasn't cold enough. Explain it to me, Tae-young said to Hana. Help me understand your biology. Maybe we can find a solution. Hana settled against the wall. Her translator clicked as she spoke. Farine or silicon-based life. Not carbon like you. We need extreme cold to live. Heat damages our cellular structure. For adults, we can survive temperatures as high as -100 degrees. Uncomfortable but survivable. And children? During molt phase, they need colder. Much colder. -150 degrees minimum. Kale is entering deep molt. Needs -200 degrees. Without it, the molt will fail. Kale will die within 48 hours. Tae-young did the math in his head. Their thermal suits could protect them down to -100 degrees for maybe 6 hours. Below that, they would freeze solid in minutes. Your ship. Does it have equipment that could help? Cryo chamber. In the engine room. But damaged in crash. Maybe can be repaired. Hana's glow flickered. But I am injured. Cannot do complex repairs. And you do not know Velreen technology. Can you teach me? Maybe. But you cannot survive in temperatures needed to work on it. Your protective suit not strong enough. They sat in silence. The wind howled outside. The ship groaned under the weight of ice forming on its hull. Time was running out for everyone. Daeun pulled out her drawing pad. She always carried it. Even during cargo runs with her father, she liked to draw. She started sketching the Velreen mother and child, her pencil moving quickly. Kale watched her draw. The small Velreen made a soft humming sound. Kale likes your art, Hana said. Her voice sounded surprised. Velreen children usually do not respond to alien stimuli. Can I show Kale more pictures? Taeyeon asked. Yes. It may comfort my child in final hours. No. Daeun's voice was firm. Not final hours. We're going to save Kale. Tae-young loved his daughter's determination, but he was running out of ideas. Let me think. Our ship has a damaged reactor. Your ship has a damaged cryo chamber. We have limited time and resources. We need to create an environment cold enough for Kale but warm enough that I can survive long enough to build it. Impossible, Hana said quietly. My dad says impossible just means difficult, Daeun added, not looking up from her drawing. She showed Kale a picture of stars and planets. The Velrine child's glow brightened slightly. Tae-young stood up. I'm going to look at both ships. Map out what we have. There has to be a way. You will freeze, Hana warned. I have thermal suits. Emergency heat packs. I can work in short bursts. Go out, work for a few minutes, come back to warm up, then go again. That will take too long. Kale does not have that much time. Then I work faster. Tae-young gathered his tools. He pulled on extra layers under his thermal suit. He stuffed heat packs into every pocket. Daeun, you stay here with Hana and Kale. Keep them company. Be careful, Dad. He kissed the top of her head. Always am. The next 12 hours were the hardest of Tae-young's life. He went back and forth between the two ships. Each trip into the extreme cold was agony. Even with all his protective gear, the temperature cut through to his bones. He studied the Velrine cryo chamber. It was advanced technology, far beyond human engineering. But the principles were similar to their own cooling systems. The chamber used quantum cooling to reach extreme temperatures. The damage was extensive, but maybe, just maybe, repairable. The problem was power. The Velrine ship's power core was dead. His own ship's reactor was damaged, but still functional. An idea formed in Tae-young's mind. A dangerous idea. He could modify his reactor to power the Velrine cryo chamber. It would require rewiring major systems. It would mean sacrificing any chance of repairing his engines. They would be stranded here permanently unless rescue found them. But Kyle would live. He came back to the ship after his 6th trip. His hands were numb. His face felt frozen. Ice had formed in his beard. Daeun rushed to help him remove his suit. Dad, you're turning blue. I'm okay. His teeth chattered. Just cold. Hana watched him with her glowing eyes. You're damaging yourself. Stop this. I have a plan. Tae-young explained his idea. Using their reactor to power the Velrine cryo chamber. But it means we can't fix our engines. We'll be stuck here. You would give up your escape for strangers? Hana's voice through the translator sounded shocked. You wouldn't do the same. Velrine are not known for such sacrifice. We are practical species. Survival of our own comes first. Daeun looked up from her drawing. She had been teaching Kale to recognize human letters. That's sad. Don't you help other Velrine? Yes, our own species. Not aliens. Well, humans are different, Daeun said matter-of-factly. She went back to her lesson with Kale. Tae-young started pulling up technical plans on his damaged computer. I'll need your help, Hana. I need to understand the cryo chamber's power requirements. And we need to move it here, to our ship. I can't work on it over there. Too cold. Moving it will be difficult. It is heavy. And I am injured. We'll find a way. Tae-young looked at his daughter, then at the Velrine child. We have to. Over the next hours, Hana taught Tae-young everything she knew about Velrine technology. Despite her injuries, despite her obvious pain, she worked with him. They planned every detail, every connection, every modification. Daeun kept Kale distracted. She showed the Velrine child pictures. She made up stories about planets and stars. She sang songs her mother used to sing to her. Kale didn't understand the words, but the child seemed calmer. The shivering slowed a little. Finally, Tae-young stood up. Okay, I'm going to start. This will take everything I have. Why? Hana asked again. Why risk everything for us? Tae-young looked at his daughter. She had fallen asleep next to Kale, her hand almost touching the crystalline child's form, because she's watching. And I want her to learn that we don't leave people behind, no matter how different they are. No matter the cost, Hana's glow brightened. Humans are strange species. Yes, Tae-young agreed. Yes, we are. He pulled on his thermal suit again. His hands ached. His face hurt. His whole body felt like it had been beaten. But he went back out into the cold. There was work to do, a child to save, and time was running out. The ice storm hit on Tae-young's 8th trip outside. One moment the sky was clear enough to see the distant stars. The next moment walls of white snow blinded everything. The wind became a screaming monster that tried to tear him off his feet. Tae-young was halfway between the two ships, carrying a critical power coupling from the Velreen vessel. He couldn't see the human ship anymore. Couldn't see anything. The cold bit through his thermal suit like knives. He dropped to his knees and crawled. The snow piled up fast around him. His gloves were frozen solid. The power coupling weighed heavy in his arms. He could drop it, save himself. But without this piece, the cryo chamber wouldn't work. His fingers stopped responding. His legs felt like dead weight. The cold was winning, then he heard it. A voice in his helmet radio. "Dad, follow my voice!" "I put a beacon on your suit." Dayun, his brilliant daughter, she was guiding him home using the emergency tracking system. He followed her voice through the storm. Every meter felt like a kilometer. His lungs burned from breathing the frozen air. Finally, hands grabbed him, pulled him inside. The airlock door sealed behind him. Da-un helped him remove his frozen suit. "Dad, your hands!" His fingers were white, completely white, frostbite, bad frostbite. Hana moved closer, her crystalline body reflecting the emergency lights. "Put hands in lukewarm water, not hot. Warm them slowly," Hana instructed. The Velreen knew about cold injuries. Da-un filled a container with water. Tae-young put his hands in and gasped. The pain was incredible, like thousands of needles stabbing into his fingers all at once. But slowly, color returned. The flesh turned red, then pink. "I got the coupling," he said through gritted teeth. "You almost died for a piece of metal," Hana said. "Not just metal. This piece keeps your child alive." Kel was getting worse. The small Velreen barely moved now. The glow inside the crystalline body was very dim. Time was running out fast. While Tae-young warmed his hands, Da-un showed him something. She had been busy while he was outside. Using Hana's guidance, she had created a communication system. Simple lights and patterns. Red for danger. Blue for safe. Green for happy. Yellow for sad. Kale understands it, Dae-young said excitedly. "Watch." She made a pattern of green lights blink. Kale's body pulsed with light in response. A conversation without words. "This is remarkable," Hana said. "Velreen children take years to learn communication. Your child learned our patterns in hours. She's smart like her mother." Tae-young flexed his fingers. The pain was still bad, but he could move them. "Okay, I need to install this coupling. Then we can test the cryo chamber." "The storm is too dangerous," Hana said. "You cannot go outside again. I have to. We're out of time. Then I will help." Hana stood up slowly. Her injuries made her movements stiff. "I can survive the cold better than you. You're hurt. My child is dying." "I will help," Tae-young wanted to argue. But he saw the determination in Hana's glowing eyes. It was the same look he saw in the mirror every morning, the look of a parent who would do anything for their child. "Okay, we work together," they suited up. Or rather, Tae-young suited up. Hana needed no suit. The extreme cold was her natural environment. They went out into the storm together. Hana carried the heavy equipment easily despite her injuries. Her crystalline body cut through the wind like it wasn't there. With Hana's help, the work went faster. She could work in the cold that would kill Tae-young in seconds. She could lift things he couldn't. She knew the Velreen technology inside and out. They moved the cryo chamber piece by piece. It was delicate work in terrible conditions. One mistake could destroy the equipment. Could kill Kale. Inside the ship, Da-un kept watch. She monitored Kyle's condition. She tracked her father's vital signs on his suit display. She prepared warm water and medical supplies for when he came back. The 8-year-old girl was doing the work of a trained flight engineer. She did it because she had to. Because her father needed her. Because a child's life depended on it. Hours passed. The storm raged. Tae-young's frostbite got worse. He could barely feel his feet anymore. His face was numb, but he kept working. He had to. Finally, they had all the pieces in place. The cryo chamber sat in the cargo bay of the human ship. The power coupling was installed. The reactor was modified. Everything was ready for the first test. Tae-young and Hana came back inside. Dayun rushed to help her father. His thermal suit was covered in ice. His lips were blue. He was shaking so badly he couldn't stand. "Get him warm," Hana said. "I will check the connections." Dayun wrapped her father in every blanket she could find. She held him tight, sharing her body heat. "You're going to be okay, Dad? Is the chamber ready?" he asked through chattering teeth. Hana is checking it now. The Velrine mother examined every connection carefully. Her crystalline fingers moved delicately over the human and Velrine technology working together. It was a strange hybrid. Something that should not work. But it had to work. Everything looks correct, Hana finally said. But I cannot be certain until we test it. Then we test it. Tae-young tried to stand. His legs wouldn't hold him. He fell back down. You cannot work anymore, Hana said. You are too damaged. I'm fine. You are not fine. You have severe frostbite. Possibly hypothermia. If you go out again, you will die. Then tell me what to do. I'll guide Da-un through it. No, Da-un said firmly. I'll do it myself. You rest. You're 8 years old, and I've been watching you work for 2 days. Hana can help me. Right, Hana? The Velrine mother looked at the human child. Something like respect showed in her glowing eyes. Yes, I will guide you. But this is dangerous work. So is doing nothing. Diane pulled on one of the smaller thermal suits. Her father's was too big, but they found one that almost fit. She looked tiny in the bulky suit. Tae-young wanted to say no, wanted to protect his daughter. But he physically couldn't do the work anymore. His body had given everything it had. And Kale was dying. Okay, he whispered. But you do exactly what Hana says, exactly. I will, Dad, I promise. Da-un and Hana went to the cargo bay. Tae-young watched on the security monitor. His little girl looked so small next to the massive cryo chamber. But her movements were confident. She listened carefully to Hana's instructions. She checked every connection twice. Power coupling secure, Da-un reported. Good, Hana said. Now connect the main power line. The red cable to the red port. Da-un found the cable. It was heavy for her small hands. She struggled with it but managed to make the connection. Done. Excellent. Now we activate the reactor modification. Your father will need to do this from the control panel. Tae-young dragged himself to the controls. His fingers barely worked, but he found the right switches. Ready when you are. Activating cryo chamber in 3, 2, 1. The reactor hummed. Power flowed through the modified systems. The cryo chamber came to life with a deep thrumming sound. Frost formed on its surface immediately. The temperature readings dropped fast. -100. -150, -180. It's working, Da-un shouted, but then alarms started blaring. The reactor temperature was spiking. The modified systems were pulling too much power. If they didn't shut it down, the reactor would overload. Would explode! We have to abort! Tae-young reached for the shutdown control. No! Hana said, we are so close. Just a few more seconds. The reactor will explode. Then let it. My child needs this. Tae-young's hand hovered over the shutdown. Save his ship, save himself and Da-un, or risk everything for a Velrine child he barely knew. He thought of his daughter's words. We have to help them, Dad. His hand moved away from the shutdown control. The temperature hit -200 degrees. The cryo chamber stabilized. The alarm stopped. The reactor temperature began to drop back to safe levels. They had done it. The impossible machine was working. Get Kale, Tae-young ordered. Now while it's stable, Hana rushed to her child. She lifted Kale gently and carried the small Velrine to the cryo chamber. She placed Kale inside and sealed the door. Immediately, Kale's glow brightened. The shivering stopped. Color returned to the crystalline form. The child was going to live. Hana pressed her hand against the chamber window. Thank you. Thank you. Da-un pulled off her helmet. She was smiling. See, Dad? We did it. Tae-young looked at his daughter, at the Velrine mother and child, at the impossible machine they had built together. They had sacrificed their engines, their chance of escape, but they had saved a life, yes, he said. Yes, we did. Outside, the storm continued to rage. They were still stranded, still trapped on the ice planet. But for the first time since the crash, Tae-young felt hope. The cryo chamber worked too well. That was the new problem. Tae-young woke up shivering. His breath came out in thick white clouds. The temperature inside their shelter had dropped 20 degrees in the night. The cold from the cryo chamber was spreading through the ship. Da-un was curled up under every blanket they had. Her lips had a slight blue tint. The backup heater was running at maximum power, but it wasn't enough. The cryo chamber's extreme cold was winning. Hana stood near the chamber where Kale rested. The Velrine mother looked healthier now. The cold temperature suited her biology, but she noticed the problem immediately. The cryo chamber is cooling the entire ship, she said. This will kill you. We need to separate the spaces. Tae-young's teeth chattered as he spoke. Create 2 zones. One cold for KL, one warm for us. How? We do not have materials for proper insulation. Tae-young looked around their damaged ship. They had debris from both crashes. Panels, foam, fabric. It wasn't much, but it might be enough. We build a wall. Use everything we have. They spent the morning constructing a barrier. Tae-young and Da-un worked on the human side, wearing every layer of clothing they owned. Hana worked on the cold side, her crystalline body perfectly suited to the freezing temperature. They used metal panels from the hull, emergency foam to seal gaps, plastic sheeting from supply crates. Anything that could block the cold air from reaching the living space, but it wasn't enough. The cold still leaked through. Da-un started coughing, a deep, wet cough that scared Tae-young. The first signs of hypothermia were showing. We need better insulation, he said. Something that can handle extreme temperature differences. Hana examined the wall they had built. She ran her crystalline hand along the seams. This will not work. The temperature difference is too great. You need materials that do not exist here. Then we make them exist. Tae-young refused to give up. They hadn't come this far to fail now. Dad, I have an idea. Da-un's voice was weak. The cold was taking its toll on her small body. What if we use ice? Make the wall thicker with ice and snow? Ice conducts cold. It would make things worse. But what if we put air pockets in it? Like Hana's body. Da-un pointed at the Velrine mother. See how light moves through her? That's because she has spaces inside, air gaps. They insulate. Tae-young stared at his daughter. She was right. The principle was sound. Air was an excellent insulator if you could trap it in small pockets. We could make ice bricks, with air bubbles inside. Hana's globe brightened with interest. Aerogel ice. We Velrine use similar technique for emergency shelters, but the process requires precise temperature control. Show me how. For the next several hours, Hana taught Tae-young the technique. They melted snow in a container, added air by mixing vigorously, then flash froze it using cold air from near the cryo chamber. The result was ice filled with tiny air bubbles, lightweight and surprisingly insulating. Da-un helped despite her growing weakness. She mixed the snow-water solution. She timed the freezing process. She stacked the finished bricks while her father and Hana worked. Slowly, the wall grew thicker and more effective. The temperature on the human side started to stabilize. The heater could finally keep up with the cold leaking through, but then Da-un collapsed. She had been working for hours in the freezing temperature. Her small body couldn't take any more. Da-un! Tae-young caught her before she hit the floor. Her skin was ice cold. Her breathing was shallow. No, no, no. Stay with me, honey. He carried her to the warmest spot in their section, wrapped her in blankets, tried to warm her up, but she wasn't responding. The hypothermia was too advanced. She needs more heat, Hana said, but your heater is already at maximum. Tae-young's mind raced. They had no more power to spare. The reactor was running the cryo chamber and their basic life support. There was nothing left. Take heat from me, Hana suddenly said. What? Velrine can generate heat internally. It is painful for us. It damages our crystalline structure, but I can do it.
I can become a heat source for your child. It will hurt you?
Yes, very much. It may trigger my own molt cycle early, but your child will live. Tae-young wanted to say no, wanted to find another way. But there was no other way. Da-un was dying. Are you sure? You sacrificed your escape for my child. I can do no less. Hana moved closer to Da-un. I will position myself here. My body will radiate heat, but I cannot control it precisely. I may generate too much or too little. Anything is better than nothing. Tae-young adjusted the blankets around his daughter, making sure Hana's position would direct heat toward her. Hana's body began to change. The glow inside her intensified. Her crystalline structure vibrated, producing heat. The temperature around her rose quickly. Da-un's color started to improve. Her breathing deepened. She was warming up, but Hana was suffering. Tae-young could see it. Cracks appeared in her crystalline form. The light inside her pulsed erratically. She was damaging herself to save his daughter. Hana, you need to stop. You're hurting yourself. Not yet. Child still too cold. I won't let you destroy yourself for us. Why not? You were willing to destroy yourself for us. Hana's voice through the translator was strained. This is what What you call sacrifice. I learned from humans. Tears froze on Tae-young's cheeks. He had never imagined an alien could be so selfless. All the stories said Velrine only cared about their own kind. But here was Hana, damaging her body to save a human child she barely knew. Minutes passed. Dayun's breathing became normal. Color fully returned to her face. She opened her eyes. Dad, what happened? You got too cold, honey. Hana helped you. Dayun saw the Velrine mother glowing brightly, cracks spreading across her crystalline body. Hana, stop! You're hurting yourself. You are warm now. That is what matters. Please stop. Hana's glow slowly faded. The heat production ceased. She slumped against the wall, exhausted. The cracks in her body looked deep. Dangerous. Thank you, Tae-young said quietly. Thank you for saving my daughter. We are even now. You save my child, I save yours. Hana's voice was barely a whisper through the translator. Dayun crawled over to Hana. She wanted to hug the Velrine mother but was afraid of causing more damage. Instead, she placed her hand near Hana's crystalline form. You're part of our family now. Family? Hana seemed confused by the concept. Yes, we take care of each other. That's what families do. Over the next day, they finished the insulated wall. The aerogel ice bricks worked perfectly. 2 separate temperature zones, each suited to its inhabitants. Kale remained in the cryo chamber, healthy and growing stronger. Dayun recovered in the warm section with her father, but Hana was getting worse. The cracks in her body spread. She moved slowly, carefully, like every movement caused pain. The heat generation triggered my molt cycle, she explained. I did not expect it so soon. I thought I had more time. What do you need? Tae-young asked. Same as Kale, extreme cold. But I am adult. I can endure higher temperatures than children. -150 degrees would be sufficient. Tae-young looked at the cryo chamber. It was built for one small Velrine child, not an adult. Can 2 people fit in there? No, it is too small. Then we build a second chamber. Impossible. You barely had enough materials for one. Your reactor cannot power 2 chambers. Then we find a way to expand the first one, or we modify something else. Tae-young refused to give up. You saved my daughter. I'm not going to let you die. Dayun joined him at the planning table. Despite her exhaustion, she pulled up schematics on the computer. The Velrine ship had navigation equipment. Those systems use cooling technology too. Maybe we can adapt them? Navigation systems? Hana's interest peaked despite her pain. Yes, quantum navigation requires extreme cooling. Similar principles to cryo chamber. Can we connect them? Create a second cooling zone? Tae-young was already calculating power requirements. Maybe, but it would be unstable. The navigation systems were not designed for life support. How long would it last? Perhaps 20 hours. Maybe less. That's enough for a molt, right? For adult, yes. If nothing goes wrong. Tae-young made his decision. Then that's what we do. We give you 20 hours. You complete your molt. Then we figure out the next problem. Why do you keep helping? Hana asked. You have saved my child. You owe me nothing, Dayun answered before her father could. Because that's what humans do. We don't keep score. We just help. Hana's glow pulsed softly. Your species is remarkable. Foolish, perhaps, but remarkable, Tae-young smiled. We get that a lot. They went back to work. Father and daughter, working alongside an alien mother, building the impossible, saving lives, one problem at a time. The sensors screamed their warning 3 days after Kale entered the cryo chamber. A massive storm was coming. Not like the small storms they had weathered before. This one was different, bigger, deadly. Tae-young studied the data with growing fear. Wind speeds would reach 300 kilometers per hour. Temperature would drop to -230 degrees. The storm would last at least 48 hours. Their shelter wouldn't survive it. The damaged ship was barely holding together as it was. This storm would tear it apart. We need to evacuate, Tae-young said. Find better shelter. Where? Hana asked. She was feeling better after spending time in the cold section. Her cracks had started to heal. There is nowhere else to go. The Velrine ship. It's more intact than ours, better sealed, but farther from the cryo chamber. If we move there, we cannot maintain Kale's life support. Then we bring Kale with us. The cryo chamber cannot be moved again. Too delicate. We barely survived the first move. They were trapped. Stay here and die in the storm. Move and Kale dies. There was no good choice. Dayun had been quiet during this discussion. Now she spoke up. What about the emergency beacon? What about it? Tae-young asked. The Velreen ship has one, right? You said it was still working. Yes, but it only broadcasts on Velreen frequencies. No human ships monitor those channels. No one would hear it. But what if we change it? Make it broadcast on human frequencies too? Hana's glow brightened. The beacon is designed for single frequency. Modifying it to broadcast multiple frequencies would be difficult, but possible. Daeon pressed. Possible, yes. But the beacon is buried under ice now, outside the ship. Someone would need to go out in this pre-storm weather, and the modification requires precise work. Cold hands cannot do precise work. Tae-young felt hope stirring. What if a Velreen did it? You can survive the cold. Your hands would work fine. I am still injured, and the work requires knowledge of both Velreen and human communication systems. I only know Velreen technology. I can guide you. Tell you what to change. Hana was quiet for a long moment. The storm approaches. If I go outside and fail, I may not make it back. You would lose your guide for maintaining Kale's chamber. My child would die. If we do nothing, we all die, Tae-young said simply. This is our only chance. Why is it always humans who suggest such dangerous plans? Because we're too stubborn to give up. Hana made a sound that might have been a laugh, or maybe a sigh. Very well. Tell me what I must do. They spent the next hour planning. Tae-young explained human communication frequencies. He drew diagrams showing how to modify the beacon. Hana studied everything carefully, asking questions to make sure she understood. Daeun prepared emergency supplies. Extra power cells for the beacon. Backup tools. Anything Hana might need. Finally, Hana was ready. She moved to the airlock. The storm was already starting. Snow whipped past the windows. The wind howled like a living thing. Be careful, Daeun said. Please come back safe. I will try, small human. Hana's glow pulsed warmly. She had become fond of the human child over these days together. Hana stepped out into the growing storm. Tae-young and Daeun watched her on the external cameras. The Velreen mother moved through the wind and snow like they were nothing. Her crystalline body was built for these conditions. She reached the Velreen ship and began digging through the ice that covered it. Her strong crystalline arms broke through the frozen layers. It took an hour to reach the beacon. I have found it. Hana's voice crackled over the radio. Beginning modifications. Tae-young guided her through each step. Cut the blue crystal connector. Not the red one. Blue. Done. Now attach the human frequency modulator. The small box we prepared. It does not fit. The connections are wrong size. You'll have to modify it. Use your crystalline fingers. They're sharp enough to reshape the connectors. The work was slow, delicate. One mistake could destroy the beacon completely. Outside, the storm grew worse. The wind picked up. The temperature dropped. Even for a Velreen, conditions were becoming dangerous. How much longer? Tae-young asked her father quietly. I don't know. These modifications, they should be done in a proper workshop. Not in a storm. An hour passed, then two. Hana worked steadily, following Tae-young's instructions. But the storm was taking its toll. Even her strong crystalline body was struggling against the wind. Almost done, she reported. Her voice sounded strained. Just need to secure the final connection. Take your time. Make sure it's right. No time. Storm is getting too strong. I am having trouble maintaining position. Hana, if you need to come back, come back. We'll try something else. No, this is our chance. I will finish. The radio went silent. Tae-young watched the camera feed. He couldn't see Hana anymore. The snow was too thick. Hana? Hana, respond. Static. Then faintly, beacon is modified, activating now. On their instruments, a new signal appeared, broadcasting on both Velreen and human frequencies. A distress call going out into space. Calling for help. For rescue. For hope. You did it. Daeun shouted. Hana, you did it. No response. The camera showed nothing but white snow. The wind was now at 200 kilometers per hour. Visibility was 0. Hana, come back to the ship. Follow the guide rope. Silence. Hana. More silence. Then a faint sound. Something that might have been words. Or might have been just static. Tae-young made a decision. Daeun, stay here. Watch Kale's chamber. I'm going out. Dad, no. You'll die in that storm. Hana saved you. I'm not leaving her out there. He pulled on his thermal suit. It was his last one. The others were too damaged from previous trips. Please don't go, please. I have to, honey. You know I have to. He sealed his helmet. If I don't come back, the chamber will run for 3 more days. Then you'll need to shut it down and restart it. The instructions are in the computer. Can you do that? Tears ran down Daewon's face. Yes, but please come back. I will. I promise. Tae-young stepped out into the storm. Immediately, the wind tried to rip him away. The cold cut through his suit like it was paper. He could barely see 2 meters ahead. He followed the guide rope they had strung between the ships. Hand over hand, fighting for every step. The temperature was negative 200 degrees now. His suit's heater was running at maximum. It wasn't enough. He found Hana halfway between the ships. She had collapsed. Her crystalline body was covered in ice, not the good ice that Velreen loved. This was too much even for her. The storm had pushed her past her limits. Tae-young grabbed her arm, tried to lift her. She was too heavy, far too heavy for one human to carry. But he didn't let go. Couldn't let go. He pulled, dragged, fought against the wind. His muscles screamed. His lungs burned. His hands stopped responding to commands. But he kept going, meter by meter, step by step, following the guide rope back. The airlock was ahead. So close, just 10 more meters. 5 more, 3. His legs gave out. He fell, still holding Hana. They were at the airlock door, but he couldn't stand. Couldn't move. His body had nothing left to give. Then the airlock opened from inside. Daeun stood there. She had opened it remotely. Dad, grab the winch cable. There was a cable, an emergency winch inside the airlock. Daeun must have set it up while he was outside. Tae-young grabbed the cable with frozen hands, hooked it to Hana's body. Pull! He shouted. The winch activated. It pulled Hana into the airlock. Tae-young crawled in after her. The door sealed behind them. They were inside, safe, alive. But as Tae-young's vision started to fade from exhaustion, he saw something that made his heart sink. Hana's crystalline body was badly damaged. Deep cracks ran through her entire form. The storm had done terrible damage. Worse, she was beginning to molt. The stress had triggered it early. She needed extreme cold. She needed it now. But their makeshift second chamber wasn't ready yet. Wouldn't be ready for hours. Dad, what do we do? Daeun asked. Tae-young looked at the cryo chamber where Kale rested peacefully. At Hana's broken body, at his daughter's frightened face, and he knew what they had to do. The hardest choice yet, we make a choice, he whispered. We choose who lives. Hana lay on the floor of the airlock, her crystalline body fracturing before their eyes. The molt had begun. Without extreme cold, she would die within hours. Tae-young knelt beside her. His hands were still frozen. His body was shutting down from cold exposure. But his mind was clear enough to understand the problem. 1 cryo chamber, 2 Velreen who needed it, Kale or Hana, a child or a mother. Take Kale out, Hana whispered through her failing translator. Put me in. Save the child. No, Tae-young said. Kyle is stable. You're the one dying. Kyle is my child. My responsibility, not yours. We don't abandon people. That includes you. Then we both die. Is that better? Daeun had been quiet during this exchange. Now she stood up. Neither of you dies. I'm going to fix this. Honey, there's no fix. The second chamber isn't ready. Then I make it ready. It will take hours. Hours we don't have. Dad, you always say impossible just means difficult. You taught me that. So I'm going to do the difficult thing. She pulled up the ship's schematics on her tablet. Her 8-year-old fingers moved quickly across the screen. Tae-young wanted to tell her to stop. This was too much for a child. But he was too weak to argue. His body was failing. The frostbite was getting worse. He could see his blackened fingers even through the pain. Daeun studied the schematics for 10 minutes. Her eyes moved fast, taking in information. She was looking at the navigation systems, the cooling units, the power distribution, all the systems her father had taught her about during their long cargo runs together. The navigation systems use quantum cooling, she said, talking to herself as much as to them. They need to be cold to work. Very cold. Yes, Hana confirmed, but not cold enough for molt. And the cooling is inconsistent. It would not sustain life. But what if we combine them? Use 3 navigation units together instead of 1? Daeun's fingers flew across the tablet. If we link them in parallel and balance the power distribution, she trailed off, doing calculations in her head. Math that most adults would struggle with. Her father had taught her well. Too well, perhaps. She saw connections that adults missed. It might work, she finally said, if I can get all 3 units running together, and if I can stabilize the power fluctuations, and if the cooling stays consistent. Too many ifs, Tae-young said. His voice was getting weaker. Too risky. Everything we've done has been risky. But we're still alive. Doan looked at her father, at Hana, at the cryo chamber where Kale rested. I can do this. I know I can. You are a child, Hana said gently. This is too much burden for a child. I'm not just a child. I'm my father's daughter. I'm an engineer. I'm your friend. Dayun's voice was firm. And I'm not going to let anyone die if I can help it. She went to work. First, she helped Tae-young to the warm section, wrapped him in blankets, put his hands in warm water. He tried to protest, but she shushed him. You rest. You've done enough. Then she went to the Velrine ship. The storm raged outside, but she didn't have to go outside. They had strung a connection cable between the ships, a tunnel made of emergency sheeting. It wasn't safe, but it was better than being exposed. She crawled through the tunnel, retrieved the navigation units one by one. They were heavy, too heavy for an 8-year-old. But she dragged them, pulled them, refused to give up. 3 trips, 3 navigation units. By the time she brought the last one back, her arms were shaking. Her legs could barely hold her weight. But she kept going. Hana watched from where she lay. You should not do this. You are damaging yourself. You damaged yourself to save me. This is fair. That is not how fairness works. Yes, it is. It's exactly how fairness works. Tae-young began connecting the navigation units. She followed her father's teachings, checked every connection twice, made sure the power distribution was balanced. It was delicate work. One mistake could destroy the units, or worse, cause an explosion. Hours passed. The storm outside reached its peak. The ship groaned under the wind. Ice formed on every surface. But Dawn worked steadily. Her small hands moved with surprising confidence. Hana's condition worsened. The cracks in her crystalline body spread. The light inside her dimmed. She was entering the critical phase of molt. Soon it would be too late. Almost done, Tae-young said, more to herself than anyone else. Just need to synchronize the cooling cycles. She typed commands into the computer. The navigation units hummed to life. Power flowed through them. Temperature readings dropped. -100, -120, -140. But then the readings started fluctuating. Up and down. The cooling was unstable, just as Hana had predicted. No, Tae-young frantically adjusted settings. Come on, work, please work. The fluctuations continued. Sometimes the temperature would hit -150. Sometimes it would rise back to -100. It was too unstable. It wouldn't sustain a molt. Tae-young stared at the screen. Tears ran down her face. She had failed. After everything, she had failed. Then she remembered something. A lesson from her mother. Before the sickness took her, her mother had been a teacher. She used to say that when one solution doesn't work, you change the problem. What if she couldn't stop the fluctuations? What if instead she used them? Created a cycling system. High cold, then medium cold, then high cold again. Like waves, she pulled up new calculations. The molt cycle had different phases. Some phases needed extreme cold. Others needed less. What if she matched the fluctuations to the molt phases? It was crazy. No one had ever tried controlled temperature cycling during a molt. It could kill Hana, but doing nothing would definitely kill her. Hana, Daun said, I can't make the temperature stable, but I can make it cycle, up and down. Would that work? Hana's translator crackled. Her power was almost gone. Never. Been tried. Might work, might not. Should I try? What does your instinct say? Dayan thought about her father, about all the impossible things they had accomplished, about the human ability to try when others said it couldn't be done. My instinct says try, then try. I trust human instinct. Dayun programmed the cycles. She matched them as best she could to what she understood about molt phases. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't even good, but it was something. She activated the system. The 3 navigation units synchronized. The temperature began cycling. -150, then -100, then -150 again. Regular pulses, like a heartbeat. Help me move Hana, Daun said to her father. Tae-young could barely move. His hands were still useless, but he tried. Together they dragged Hana to the makeshift second chamber. It was just a sealed section of cargo bay with the navigation units creating cold zones. They laid Hana in the coldest spot. Sealed the chamber. Activated the full cooling cycle. The temperature displays showed the cycling pattern. Up and down. Up and down. Like waves of cold, Hana's crystalline body began to change. The molt was progressing. Her outer layers started to crack and fall away, new crystal forming underneath. It was a beautiful and terrifying process. Will it work? Toan whispered. I don't know, Tae-young admitted. We've never seen a Velrine molt before. I don't know what normal looks like. They watched for hours. The storm raged outside. Their damaged ship groaned and shook. But the makeshift chamber held. The temperature cycles continued. Consistent, reliable. Hana's molt continued. Sometimes smooth. Sometimes troubled. During the rough moments, Daun adjusted the cycles. Made them longer or shorter. Colder or warmer. She was learning in real time, adapting, finding what worked. It was the most remarkable thing Tae-young had ever seen. His 8-year-old daughter was inventing a new medical procedure. Making decisions that could mean life or death, and doing it all while exhausted and scared. Finally, after 18 hours, the molt completed. Hana's new crystalline form was beautiful. Clearer than before. Stronger. The cracks were gone. She was whole again, her eyes opened. The glow inside her body was bright and steady. I live, how? Daeun figured it out, Tae-young said. Temperature cycling. She invented it. Hana looked at the small human child. You saved my life. With a method that has never existed before. You created new science. Daeun was too tired to feel proud. She slumped against the wall. I just did what seemed right. That is how all great discoveries begin. Hana slowly stood up. Her new body was strong, healthy. Thank you, small human. I owe you a debt I can never repay. You already repaid it. You saved me from the cold. We're even. No, we are not even. We are family. You said so yourself. And family does not keep score. Tae-young smiled despite his exhaustion. Despite his damaged hands. Despite everything they had been through. Yes, we're family now. The storm outside was starting to fade. The emergency beacon continued broadcasting. Calling for help. Somewhere out in space someone might hear it. Until then they would survive together, human and Velrine. Family forged in ice and desperation. Daeun fell asleep against the wall. Hana covered her with a blanket, moving carefully with her new crystalline body. Tae-young watched his daughter sleep. She was still just a child, but today she had done something incredible. Something impossible. She had looked at a problem that couldn't be solved and solved it anyway, because she was human. And that's what humans did. Daeun woke to the sound of alarms, but these were different alarms, not warnings. These were good alarms. Detection alert, she jumped up, ran to the sensor display. Dad, ships! There are ships coming! Tae-young limped to the display. His hands were wrapped in bandages. The doctors would have to look at them properly. Maybe he would lose some fingers to frostbite, but he was alive. They were all alive. How many ships? 405. They're coming from different directions. Hana moved to look at the sensors. Her new crystalline body reflected the display lights. 2 are broadcasting Velrine identification codes. 3 are human. They had done it. The modified beacon had worked. Both species had heard the call. Both were coming to help. The first ship to land was human. A rescue vessel from the nearby colony station. The crew came out in full thermal gear, medical supplies ready. They were shocked to find humans alive after so long in these conditions. We need immediate medical attention here, the rescue captain said into his radio. Severe frostbite. Possible hypothermia. And he stopped when he saw Hana. There's a Velrine. A live Velrine? 2 Velrine, Daeun corrected. Hana and her child Kyle. They're in the cryo chambers. They're okay. The captain looked confused. You built cryo chambers? For Velrine? How? My dad and I, with Hana's help. It's a long story. The Velrine ships landed next. They were smaller, more elegant vessels. Crystalline beings emerged, moving gracefully across the ice. Their body language showed surprise when they approached. One of them, larger than the others, approached Hana. They communicated in the Velrine way, with light pulses and sounds humans couldn't hear. Hana's translator remained off during this private conversation. After several minutes, Hana turned to Tae-young and Daeun. This is Elder Bora. She leads this rescue mission. She wants to know how we survived, how a human family saved Velrine lives. We helped each other, Tae-young said simply. That's all. Elder Bora's translator activated. Velrine do not accept help from other species. This is our way. We are alone in the universe because we choose to be alone. Well, maybe it's time to choose differently, Dayun said. She wasn't intimidated by the large, crystalline elder. We helped you. You helped us. Everyone lived. That seems like a good thing. Bora's glow pulsed with what might have been amusement. This small human speaks boldly. She's brave. Like her father. Hana moved protectively closer to Da'un. These humans sacrificed their ship. Their escape. Almost their lives. They did this for strangers. For aliens they had never met before. The human rescue captain was listening to all of this. Wait, you sacrificed your engines? To save them? We needed the reactor to power the cryo chamber, Tae-young explained. It was the only way. You could have died here. Stranded forever, yes, why? Tae-young looked at his daughter. At Hana. At Kale's cryo chamber. Because it was the right thing to do. The rescue teams worked together, human and Velrine side by side. They extracted Kale safely from the cryo chamber. The small Velrine child was healthy. The molt had completed perfectly. Kale immediately recognized Da'un and made happy chirping sounds. Medical staff treated Tae-young's frostbite. The damage was severe. He would lose 2 fingers on his left hand. But the doctors said he was lucky to be alive at all. Working in those temperatures without proper protection should have killed him. I had a good reason to survive, he told the doctors. He looked at Da'un, who was showing Kale her drawings. They were taken to the main rescue ship for transport back to the colony. But Elder Bora requested a meeting first. In a neutral space, human and Velrine leaders came together. We have a situation, Bora began. Humans and Velrine have had no contact for 3 generations. Our species avoid each other. Different biology. Different needs. Conflict seemed inevitable, so we chose separation. The human colony administrator nodded. That's been the policy, yes. Separate but peaceful. This incident changes things. A human family saved Velrine lives. A Velrine mother saved a human child. We worked together. Survived together. Bora's glow intensified. We cannot ignore this. What are you proposing? Cultural exchange. Limited contact learning. The small human Da'un invented temperature cycling for molt procedures. This has never existed in Velrine medicine. She made new science. From cooperation. Da'un perked up at hearing her name. I didn't invent anything. I just tried what seemed right. That is precisely the point. Bora turned her glowing eyes to the child. You saw a problem differently because you are not Velrine. Your outside perspective created a solution we never imagined. This is the value of cooperation. The discussions continued for hours. Tae-young and Da'un were asked to explain everything that happened. Every decision, every sacrifice, every moment when they chose to help instead of abandoning the Velrine. News of the story spread fast. Other ships came to see the crash site. Scientists wanted to study the hybrid systems they had built, the impossible machines that kept everyone alive. A human reporter interviewed Da'un. What do you want people to know about what happened here? Da'un thought about it. I want people to know that helping others isn't about what species you are. It's about being kind. My dad always says we don't leave people behind. It doesn't matter if they're human or Velrine or anything else. If someone needs help, you help them. Even if it costs you everything? Yes. Because what's the point of surviving if you have to become a bad person to do it? The reporter was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. You're very wise for 8 years old. My mom and dad taught me. And Hana taught me, too. She hurt herself to save me. That's what family does. Hana is family now? Of course. We take care of each other. That makes us family. The story became known as the Haiyan 7 Miracle. It spread across human space, across Velrine territory. The tale of a father and daughter who refused to abandon alien strangers, who built impossible machines, who survived impossible odds. 6 months later, there was a formal ceremony. Tae-young and Da'un were invited to a neutral space station. Diplomats from both species attended. Hana and Kale were there too. They stood before a council of both species. A human representative spoke first. Tae-young and Da'un, you are recognized for exceptional courage and humanity. You embodied the best of what humans can be. Then Elder Bora spoke. You changed Velrine understanding of other species. You showed us that isolation is not wisdom. It is fear. And you showed us that cooperation can create miracles. They presented Tae Young with a Medal of Honor. They gave Daun a scholarship to the best engineering school in human space. But more importantly, they announced a new program, Human and Velrine Cultural Exchanges. Scientists would work together. Engineers would share knowledge. Children would learn about each other. The Hyun 7 miracle was not just about survival, Bora said. It was about showing us a new way forward. Together, not apart. After the ceremony, Hana approached them. Kale stayed close to her, now fully grown and healthy. We are returning to Velrine space, but we will not forget. Kale wants to participate in the exchange program. To learn more about humans. About engineering. About the species who saved our lives. Daeun would love that, Tae-young said. She talks about Kale all the time. Daeun hugged Kale's crystalline form carefully. Promise you'll write to me. I want to know everything you learn. Kale's glow pulsed in the pattern that meant agreement. The child had learned to understand human speech and some basic responses. Hana looked at Tae-young. At his bandaged hand with missing fingers. You sacrificed much. We gained more. He put his good hand on Daeun's shoulder. She learned that kindness matters. That helping others is worth the cost. Those are lessons worth any price. Humans are strange species. Foolish sometimes, but also remarkable. We try. That's all any species can do. Try to be better. Years later, Daeun would become a famous engineer. She would specialize in cross-species life support systems. Her designs would save thousands of lives across multiple species. But she always said it started on Hyun 7, in the ice, in the cold, where her father taught her the most important lesson. We don't leave people behind, she would tell her students. It doesn't matter how different they are. It doesn't matter how difficult it seems. We help because that's what we do. That's what makes us human. The story became legend. The human family and the Velrine refugees, the impossible machines built from scraps, the temperature cycling that shouldn't have worked but did, the sacrifices made by both species to save each other. Some said it was the beginning of a new era. An era where humans and Velrine worked together, where differences became strengths instead of barriers, where cooperation replaced isolation. Others said it was just one good story, one moment of kindness in a cold universe. But everyone agreed on one thing. When Daeun stood in that freezing ship and said, "Dad, her child is freezing," she changed the galaxy. Not with weapons, not with technology, but with simple human compassion. With the refusal to let someone die when she could help. With the understanding that all life is worth saving. Tae-young stood on a balcony years later watching the stars. His daughter was grown now, working on a joint human Velrine space station, making a difference. Making the galaxy better. He looked at his damaged hand. At the missing fingers. Small price. Very small price for what they gained. Because they didn't just survive the ice planet.